am Paul Tran, founder and CEO of Manscaped. And I don't usually panic.
Jensen!
Lindzonian.
In Norway, what do they call testicles? What is the word?
Testikler.
And what about balls?
Baller.
Oh. And well, anyways, today's show is all about balls and testicles.
Excellent.
And really, one of the favorite things I get to talk about. Mine have mostly disappeared. I'm 57, and I spend about an hour a day looking for them.
Thank you for sharing, Howard.
And then when I do find them, I'm just so happy that I've shaved them. Do you know where I'm going with this?
No, I have no idea. I'm not sure I want to know.
Well, they're not a sponsor, but I have the CEO, my friend Paul Tran, on the show today, who says he's panicked about nothing, which is the opposite of me. I panicked twice on the way over here today. I panicked twice on the way over here. And so no one knows more about, well, my own ball. I know a lot about my own balls. But no one probably knows more about balls than Paul Tran. And what a fantastic marketer. I mean, Knut, you're a fan just because of the ads and the campaigns and the boldness to go where no man has shaved before.
I find the ads very ballsy.
And young whatever we call this kid, Riley some days, Ethan some days. Ethan, do you manscape?
I do.
And is it something that your girlfriend appreciates?
I believe so.
All righty. And did you buy Manscaped for yourself, or was it bought for you?
Bought it for myself.
You bought it for yourself. Well, I have a lot of questions for Paul Tran about how Manscaped gets thought about, how much fun it is, who has the best job at Manscaped. I don't think the cleanup crew at Manscaped HQ has anything. I mean, it's not good there. They probably have a lot of blowers, you know, like in the fall in the Northeast, where everybody just blows leaves. I think that's how people come through Manscaped.
Yeah, I think they're called leaf blowers.
Oh, thank you, Knut. You use ChatGPT to help me there?
Yes, I did.
The very quick of you. Anyways, a little bit about Paul. He is the founder, CEO, and I would say visionary behind Manscaped. He was born in Vietnam. He grew up with very little, but huge heart, big outlook on life. Some funny stories from the early days. He probably remembers in San Diego, he used to pitch me a lot of ideas I passed on. And when he pitched me Manscaped, I giggled, as a schoolboy would too.
Yep.
And except I was in my early 50s. So I giggled as an old man would do, which means I wet my pants a little bit. And
oh, please.
He hasn't come up with a powder yet for that. The old drizzles, as they call them. And I don't even know, is that a problem? Or did I make that up? Or is that just me?
That could be just
it's a new product idea.
I'm older than you, but I don't know.
Hey, intern, remind me about that, Ethan.
Yep. I'll ping you.
I'm so scared to take Ethan anywhere now because he'll just roll on me at the first chance he gets.
No doubt.
With that. I've already gotten 2 calls from people with Rolls Royces in this town looking for me. Anyways, as luck would have it, Paul stayed in touch with me and pitched me Manscaped. And here we are. A little bit of luck and all Paul's work and team. And it's been, I don't know, 2016, I think he started. So it was 7 years.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of innovation. So I want to go back a little bit, but mostly look for it because it is the tagline is, I believe, below the belt grooming.
All right.
And talk a little bit about marketing because I think as I've been saying for months here, as the dominance of Apple and Google have laid to bear with Facebook, it's not so easy to just go online and do marketing. You have to have a lot of skills across multiple sectors. And so they've done this with sponsors and TV ads and YouTube ads and podcast ads. So want to just dig in a little bit there. So do we have Paul?
Yes, we do.
All right, let's dial him up. He's so excited, I think he didn't even wait for us to call.
Hey, Howard.
Paul, what is up, my man?
How are you?
Good. What is the size of the company today?
We're a little more than 215.
So small company. Are there 3 metrics you can share that matter to you today?
Well, today we measure consumer sentiment, brand awareness, and of course, revenue and profit.
And is there anything per employee, or you don't have that kind of like dig down? It's just like, because it seems like a very small company for a very large number.
Well, we're not a services company. We're a products company. Right? So, but fortunately, while the employees and the company is asleep, we're still making money.
Good point. Do you remember when Manscaped came to you and when you bought the domain? Did you know right away?
Did I know that it was going to be this successful? No,
Did you know right away when you bought the domain? It was like, I'm on to something.
No. We were testing many different ideas and brands. We knew that the domain was pretty special. I chased that myself and negotiated that. And we knew that that's the brand that we wanted to go to market with. Because I think even to today, we define this category of products, and we've expanded just way beyond the growing. Everyone thinks of Manscaped as just the white space that we've captured, but we've expanded way beyond it. It's become like a term in pop culture. I was watching, who Hassan Minaj is?
His Netflix special, maybe one of the best ever.
Yeah.
His recent one.
And in his Netflix special, he tells this great story about, having his daughter, how difficult it was for he and his wife to have his daughter. And he talks about manscaping. And he uses that term. So we've become this term that's synonymous with just grooming. And I find it really interesting.
And what's amazing about this, and obviously you must get, you have more knowledge than me, but what's amazing to me about this is how little, and I used to say every centimeter of a woman's body is worth $1 billion. And then you get to a man's body and it's like Gillette, take it or leave it. Have you seen any obviously the competitors are coming into the space, so you've got to deal with this every day. Are you seeing finally, now I know men use makeup now, and obviously they manscape and then they're grooming and they're using all kinds of products. Was it just a neglect, or was there a trigger point, or what do you think just kind of happened?
Well, I think we did a lot of things right. It wasn't just that there was white space. That definitely helped. But that wasn't the only thing that led to our success. Right? And we're very fortunate that we implemented these things very early on. We knew, we felt, or we just had a culture of innovation, of design, of creating beautiful things. So it was really important to us from day one to make sure that our products are extremely well engineered, we over engineered, and that's why they're a premium. We're not the cheapest products out there, but we build products to last. And a lot of hardware companies, they build in obsolescence. They build in, hey, this thing's got to break in 2 years. We don't think that way. And mainly because we're not just a hardware player. We sell shampoos, deodorants, body washes, body sprays. And we're going to be coming out with a lot of amazing products for skincare. So we want to build your trust when you purchase a hardware product, because we want you to use our consumable products. So these hardware companies, they build in obsolescence. So if their products are made to break after 2 years, so you can buy a new one. But for us, we don't think like that. We think about the entire routine, and we want you to get into our shampoo or deodorants, because then now you're a customer every month. So we're very fortunate that that we have that kind of business model, and we think about the holistically through that entire grooming routine. But go back to your question, Howard. How do we get started and outpace some of our competitors or the incumbents? because we really focus on building amazing products that are over-engineered that look beautiful. So when you tack that on with our sense of humor and authenticity, that's kind of, I don't know, maybe that's kind of the secret sauce that I don't think anybody else is able to replicate. And you come in the door with something that breaks down the humor, breaks down the barriers. I would dare say that 5 years ago, guys weren't comfortable talking about shaving their groin, shaving their balls. It was a taboo topic. And we use humor to break down that barrier. And now it's easy to talk about. It's not a hard conversation to bring up. We've normalized it.
Well, in 2017, I know you remember because you came to present at our event, maybe 2018. I'm sure you remember because of the comments. But so, Knut, you were probably there.
I was there.
You were 11.
Paul and I talked.
Yeah. The story was that when we were pitch Manscaped, I went to my son and I said, hey, do you Manscape? And he lied. We found out there's two things kids lie about. Do they shave their balls and money? And I don't know, Paul, if you knew that. I asked all my nephews, and everybody said they don't do it, right? So there was that. Even the kids that were doing it weren't telling you. So all my, surface intelligence said, it's a great name, great idea, but, if the core audience isn't going to do it. But luckily, I am a manscaper, even in my 50s at the time, and I did it. What was it about kids that didn't? Now they're proud of it, but what was the switch?
I think it was the uncertainty, because they didn't know if they would be accepted, right? You're kind of nervous, am I the only one doing it? And yeah. Am I going to look like a weirdo because I'm the only one doing it? So I don't want to admit to it. But then we blew that right out of the park. We just said, we know you're doing it, and let's just talk about it. And let's make a joke out of it. Let's just normalize it. And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah. And so when did you know? Was there a moment in time where you just knew that it was, a rocket ship?
I remember being on stage at Palooza and talking about it. And I remember enjoying it, enjoying being on stage because it was really funny. I remember I put up a deck that showed that we were going to grow to 250 million in revenue in this many years. And it was kind of people were giggling in the audience. Yeah, people thought you were a plant, and it was just Howard up to his old tricks. It was like a fake pitch. Yeah, and it was funny because then now I look back, and we kind of blew that plan out of the park, and we went from 3 to nearly 300 million in 36 months. That's 3 years, and that to grow at that speed. It was fun. It was. I guess I knew when we kept selling out, because in this space, being an entrepreneur, with prior businesses, with prior successes and failures, you're always thinking, where is the top? When am I gonna saturate this market? Because everyone talks a big talk about the TAM being huge, but nobody really knows. Right. No one knows. And we were just oh man, is this the top? And nope, is this the top? Nope. Yeah. And so then we started counting balls. It's well, how many balls are out there? And when we realized there's a lot of balls out there, and they don't have trimmers. They don't have trimmers. And you've been very patient, because I used to come to you year 3 and go, what about women? And you were like, man, there's so much, that whole thing about men, and how underserved it is. So you've been you must get pitched 1,000 ideas from investors and friends and family. How have you been able to stay this focused? What's the trick? I think it comes down to authenticity. And I think, learning how to build a brand, an enduring brand, one of the key traits is authenticity. You can't sell out an audience, and we just feel like if we start focusing on women, we're kind of selling out to men. And luckily, we don't have to. There are companies out there that have launched women's brands just because they needed that larger addressable market. Luckily, we're doing something right. I know exactly what we're doing right, but I just don't want to talk about it. Yeah. where we're doing the right things that resonate with men, and I think we have to be loyal to men. And we have this internally, this tagline that we it's pretty simple. Right? It look good, feel good, do good. And so our mission, we haven't talked about it very much because I don't jump on podcasts very often.
Right.
And so our mission is to redefine masculinity by helping men look good, feel good, and do good. And so we have to stick to that mission.
It's a lot of the marketing done in-house?
Yeah. Yes.
And packaging too?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's probably key to it. So how big is the team, or is it just you and a few people?
The marketing team, we do all the media buying in-house. We've got some really fun stuff that we've done, and you might have seen. All that is done in-house. The marketing team is about 30 people. We shoot out red cameras, all kind of geeks like that. We love shooting ourselves and do post-production. We have a team in Brazil. There's an amazingly talented team in Brazil that does post-editing of our commercials. Because now we operate in 39 countries. So it's like when you launch a content piece, it's not just in the U.S., and Germany is very different. France is very different. And we don't talk about that much. But it gets more challenging as we scale. It's more fun, but it's also more challenging to deploy media and maintain media efficiency in 39 countries.
And is Manscaped universal? Like, so in France, do they say Manscaped?
They do.
In Germany, what do they say?
I can't say
hair Manscaped.
I can't say it with a German accent, but they pronounce it Manscaped also. It doesn't have the same meaning, but a lot of Germans do speak English. And they understand the reference. But all of our products have French in them. The ones in Germany has German in them. So it's and the ones that go to Canada has all these different languages because Canadians are just so difficult. The products have to have like all these different languages.
Yeah, that's why we're a booming nation. So wait a minute. So what outside of the U.S., what would be number one country for you? Is it just what you would think it'd be Germany and then somewhere in South America?
No, UK is huge for us. Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Germany, France.
But the humor, and they don't have the same humor. And do they care as much? Like, does the brand and the authenticity transfer over there, or is it just about product? Like, they don't have the same sense of humor, I wouldn't think.
Well, Germans definitely have a very different sense of humor, but Brits and UK is similar. Australians are similar. Canadians are similar. It's when you have a different language, like Germans, the humor is much drier. It's
right.
It's much more sarcastic, and we find it challenging. But at the end of the day, however, what we realize is every man out there is a little kid at heart. When you talk about balls and farts, they all giggle.
Yes. Not me. I'm very serious here, and I take offense to that personally. So for me, one of the favorite campaigns, and obviously I don't get to talk to you too often anymore, but one of my favorite campaigns and it probably cost $1, was you had old people reading comments. I don't know whose idea this was, and if it was yours, great. Sometimes I wish I probably should just come out there and just spend a week and just giggle in marketing meetings. But whoever came up with it, where like grandparents were reading the reviews from people, and it was on YouTube. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, we have an amazing marketing team. They're just so creative. Our social team is really creative also. That campaign was actually quite a long time ago. That was 2-3 years ago. But that was hilarious. Just having older people, exposed to this. And the interesting thing that is now how it is, our demographics have really expanded.
Right.
When we first started, it was 18 to 35, and our customer base above 35 now have grown tremendously. So we're seeing amazing adoption on the older spectrum.
Well, it's also the trick is you've got women to buy it for men, right? You can't go wrong as a woman buying this, whereas if a guy goes to buy perfume or shampoo or any kind of cosmetic for a woman, that's taboo.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of women gifting it to their boyfriends, their husbands, their fiancés. We're seeing the market grow in greasemen as being gifts for weddings. And of course, that's great because you end up buying like 10 or 12 at the same time for all your groomsmen as gifts. So with that part of the market is growing pretty well. Now, keep in mind, though, that we're talking about our core product, which is our lawnmower series of products, which makes it really safe for you.
Yeah.
But we've grown way beyond that. If you go look at everything else that we've expanded into, you start realizing that the Manscaped brand is. I don't know. I'm a little concerned that in 5 years, if people will still remember us as the growing company. And this is really interesting. And you look at our icon, and I swear, I think in 20, 30 years, there will be a marketing class on the Manscaped icon. Because I don't think that you're going to remember Manscaped as the company that started in the growing and dominated male growing care. I think you're going to think of Manscaped as just the premier male hygiene and self-care company. But if you look at our icon, it's an upside-down heart. If you analyze it and really look into it, it's actually wings in a halo protecting balls. And not many people actually catch that. And the crazy thing is, there have been probably 4 people that have wrote into support, our support, and posted on our Facebook of them tattooing videos and pictures of them tattooing our icon on their body, which I find absolutely amazing.
It started out as below the belt. So when did you finally, when did you finally say, okay, we need to move above the belt?
Well, the first thing was that when we were below the belt, we were, we also had all the consumables. So we had a crop reviver, which is a spray for crop preserver, which is a first of its kind ball deodorant that applies on as a liquid, which dries as a powder. So it keeps that area really dry. And we've sold millions of these products. And it keeps it fresh, dry, and smelling good, so keep in mind that we've always been a routine business. That's how we look at the business. That's how we market it to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
You buy the routine. So we knew that we wanted to expand. Like this year, we just launched our beard hedger, and that's been a phenomenal product. And the market has really gravitated towards it. It's an amazing beard trimmer, but it comes with everything else, everything you need. It comes with a wooden comb, scissors. It comes with a beard oil, beard cleanser, everything that you can, beard conditioner. That's how we think. That's how we engineer. That's how we design products from it. And I think that's how we find success.
Well, with the beard, you ship it with everything, but then you have to still get in front of all the other products and the noise. So was it is it the combination of that with the marketing, like the John Daly thing, or how did you launch the beard thing? Was it with John Daly?
It was with Pete Davidson and John Daly.
And Pete, he doesn't have a beard, though.
He doesn't have a beard, so that's why we made it. And I credit our marketing team for all of this. It's phenomenal. He doesn't have a beard, so how are we going to use Pete? And Pete's an amazing actor, amazing comedian, and we worked together on this. And how do we do this? So we actually brought in a Pete Davidson, another Pete Davidson, and this guy had a beard. And so we shot a commercial in which, because Pete can't grow a beard, we had to bring in a different Pete Davidson that can't grow a beard.
And John Daly, how do you come up with him? Because you're not a golf guy, or did you know who he was, or did someone come to you?
We have a phenomenal. It's not really sponsorships, but it's partnerships team, and that's where we work with the UFC, with the Niners, NASCAR, and all that, and a lot of these sports celebrities. That team really gravitated to John Daly. I think he was pretty iconic in the golf scene, and we wanted to work with him and his son. His son is a big up and comer, so we thought, he has a glorious white beard.
Yeah,
this is the right fit.
When you think about John Daly, you think about booze and hard living, but it's just he doesn't seem to offend anybody for some reason. And maybe he does. I think of John Daly, and I just think of like a superstar freak athlete who can torture himself and still hit a golf ball like it. So maybe just the torture he inflicts on himself makes him harmless to others. So I guess you are taking risks there. Same with Pete Davidson.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught that, brought that up. We don't see it as that. That's kind of the brand that we want to be. So our mission, is to help men look good, feel good, and do good. And that kind of goes against the social norms of you got to be built with a six-pack, chiseled jaw, and look like a god, and that's masculinity is, and that's what everyone should aspire to be. That's not us. We want you to be comfortable in your own skin, and we want you to feel good about yourself, and that's kind of how we see the brand. So when you see us working with people, like we work with Rob Gronkowski, who is chiseled, six-pack and looks great, but we also work with Pete. Pete's amazing, and I'm close enough with him. So he's not the most handsome guy, but he's got an amazing personality. He's really kind. You don't have to be looking like a god to be confident. And at the end of the day, that's what we want our customers feel. And that's why you see John Daly also.
And if you're omnichannel, what is it different for every product, or what is the channel that has worked best for you?
So we are omnichannel. We're fairly large on D2C. The last number that we quoted was we have over 1 million active paying subscribers, and those guys are loyal because we create amazing products. And D2C is still our largest channel. We can be found on Amazon, at Target. We'll be expanding to all the major retailers that you can think of domestically and internationally in the coming years. Are pretty close here. So we have 3 primary channels, and that's D2C, Amazon, and which we call Marketplace, and what's retail.
And the hardest being retail, just because of packaging costs, net never, supply chain, but it's just, I think in today's day and age, you got to be in all 3.
From day one, we knew we wanted to be it all.
I know. I remember we went early Target. I remember introducing you to some people.
Yeah. There were a lot of D2C brands that I advised that came to me and said, we're going to stick to D2C.
Yeah.
You're going to get crushed. D2C is hot right now, and the whole digitally native, vertically integrated and all that. That's like, that sounds great, but you're going to want to be where your customers are at. And that's going to be retail. And so through the pandemic, we made sure that all our partners, our retail partners, were fully stocked, even when they didn't have enough foot traffic. People stayed home. And so we cultivated a really close relationship with all our retail partners that now when people are returning back to retail.
All right. So now you go to above the belt, you go to lotions and potions. I don't know what you call it. Is it liquid?
Yeah, consumable products.
Consumable products. Much more personal than just, say, grab a beard trimmer or a Manscaped with the full package of goods. How much more do you have to think about that? Because scents and sensitivity to skin and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, luckily we've been doing that for a long time. It's not something new that we got into. I mean, from day one, we started building expertise in-house, R&D research, to formulate those products. And we cultivated great relationships with manufacturers that can create those products for us. So expanding into those products wasn't difficult. To make really unique products is challenging, but a lot of the stuff on the market is the same old shit. Mm-hmm. A shampoo is very similar. We didn't want to be like that. We wanted to make a really high quality shampoo and high quality deodorant and all natural deodorant, right? And that costs a little more. And luckily our brand is premium, so we can deliver a really high quality product. And one of our thesis is that men are ready to pay for a higher quality product, and that's exactly what we're seeing in the self-care space. Men's hygiene and self-care is one of the fastest growing space. If you go and look at Target, even Walmart, you're going to see that Walmart and Target, they're redoing their store, so they're actually moving and reconfiguring their store to have what Target calls it a men's world section. It occupies like 4 aisles. And it's all men's products. And so you can see how fast that space is growing. Men are much more aware of their hygiene behavior now than the last decade.
So that's interesting. So who keeps you up at night? Who's the enemy? Do you feel you have to have an enemy, or is there just enough white space that you can be not caring about that?
I try not to think about our competitors. I would say that our enemies is ourselves. We need to beat ourselves. We need to set really ambitious goals. We need to deliver really high quality products and satisfy our customers, over-satisfy our customers, meet their expectations. And that's what we strive for. And I think if we keep that as the North Star, we'll continue to be successful.
And what is the thing that you're most excited about right now?
The most exciting thing right now, all the products that we have on the roadmap. And we've got some really cool products that we've been developing for a while that we're getting ready to launch. I'm really excited about that.
You can't tease with anything here?
Well, I can say that, if you look at the progression of our lawnmower, we went from lawnmower 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can infer that there will be another one.
This one will also brush my teeth?
and wash your balls.
Well, I mean, so let's talk about failure, right? Like, you've had a million ideas. The first idea you came to me with was Manscaped. I took it to Tom and Gary. We were like, tell Paul to come back with a bigger idea. So we send you packing, and like idiots that we are, and you come back to us with the perfume, kind of like Pandora of perfume. Did you believe in that idea, or were you just like, whose fault is that? Is that both of our fault that we could get you off your mark so early and that we were so stupid? Like, let's look back at that and we're like, what were the mistakes? Because, Manscaped started out as Manscaped. You bought the domain. You were working on it. You came to me. I said, I don't know. And, well, I loved it, but Gary and Tom were like, I don't know. This is like a big enough idea. And I'm like, guys, I Manscaped. Then we go to my son and all my nephews, and no one says they do it. And then we come back to you. You come back to us with perfume. Like, are you over that? Are you still mad at us?
No. No, of course not.
But think about it. We both kind of got off track there.
Yeah, when I think about that, I think about how success is never a straight line.
Yeah.
It's very windy, has multiple ups and downs. And the ability to navigate that, I think, defines a successful entrepreneur. And I had to learn that. And you got to test ideas, and you got to test quickly. You got to test all the time, and you got to take care of your investors. So I think it's these principles that, and I have a bunch of them. And one day I'll pull out the list and I'll actually read them. But I have these principles that I think about on what makes a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, we gave it our best, and you came to me. We were having lunch, and I just remember the lunch because it was just like, you were so upset, like, oh, I think we're going to be out of money. Whiff isn't working. And you said, but, this Manscaped is taking off. I said, why are we having lunch? Get back to Manscaped. And is that something that you kind of knew from the beginning, or is it just something that, like, Manscaped, because it wasn't, like, right from the beginning that Manscaped took off. It was a headache. Like, that's a hardware product, and you're dealing with China, so it wasn't like a straight line.
Yeah, well, remember at that time, we had two other entities.
Because there was like a skin, there was like a
skincare line. There were other projects that we were testing and hypothesizing on, and they were all pretty successful. And when you count first year success, when in the startup space, if you're doing 2 or 3 million the first year in revenue, without any capital raise, you could call that to be pretty successful in the early years.
Flash forward today, are you built on Shopify?
We still use Shopify. We started out on Shopify. We still use Shopify as a part of our D2C infrastructure, but we're not on Shopify. We become what's called headless. Mm-hmm. So it's like edge computing, where we load up all of our websites. We render it in HTML, and we cache it on edge server so it loads really fast. Mm-hmm. So our site is not loaded on Shopify. We've customized the heck out of our checkout page and all that. So we're not on Shopify. I mean, we still use Shopify as a part of the business.
And what have we learned about DTC? So there was this big boom, obviously Shopify and everybody, what was it just an ARB gone wrong, or do people really think they knew something about branding? Or did you see this coming, this kind of crash, or is DTC just still beginning?
I think that the smart companies, I think you're still going to have to start on D2C, especially in this consumer space, because it's the only way for you to really build a brand and tell your story.
Yeah.
It allows, and like you said, it allows you to test quickly.
But telling story is key, and if you want to be authentic and be funny, you can't do it at the store level. You'll get kicked out.
Exactly.
So you have to, yeah.
You can't, even in a finance product, it's then you actually want to get to the consumer using it. You got to tell your story. What makes you better than others?
Yeah. Are we at the beginning of DTC then, and this was just kind of like the crash after the first and second inning?
I don't think we're at the beginning. I think D2C is starting to mature. I mean, the beginning was when you saw like Magento and the customization, and it was difficult to put up an e-commerce store. And that I would categorize as the beginning. Now it's much more streamlined. You're going to use Shopify and you use Canva. It's so easy to put up an e-commerce store. Now the next question is, how are you going to actually get it to scale and be successful?
Right. Because retail is probably as hard and complicated as it's ever been. Then you throw in international languages and packaging and returns and accounting. So there's no, DTC is only going to get you to the point where you got to make a real hard decision. Success at DTC only creates new problems.
Yeah, and I always thought I was going to be a software guy. I didn't want to get.
That's why that was the other reason we didn't want to do the dig. How is this software? There couldn't be anything more hard about this. It's hardware and it's not really tech. But you are a tech company.
We are, and I think that's because it was because of my tech background that I think gave us an early edge. Because understanding tech and e-commerce, how to SEO, optimize websites, all of that does help quite a bit. And having an influence was I think important in the early years.
But I still think the number one thing that you must think about is how to get just more people going direct and being subscribers. That's the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think having a relationship with our customers directly is always key. But as we continue to grow, you can't scale that infinitely. You're gonna have to work with retail partners. You're gonna have to treat them right, and it's hard. It's hard to treat retail right. I mean, retail is a double-edged sword. You don't treat them right. You don't have sell-through. And you're gone.
Yeah, it's heartless, right? You can treat them really good. If the product's not selling through, you're out.
Yeah. You can't fault them for it, right? What are they going to do?
No, they're in the profit per second game.
Yeah, they're economic players. Yeah. You can't sell. Doesn't help you, doesn't help them.
So, couple last things. Are there any brands, for me, it was reading Phil Knight's book, Shoe Dog. Is there any brands that you look up to, or how do you get mentoring? How do you stay on top of your game? Two questions there. So brands that you looked up, and how do you stay on your marketing game?
I recently I'm really fascinated by just luxury fashion. Me
too. LVMH. You just look at the stock price and you go, I don't even use they don't even appeal to me. They're overpriced brands that I don't even want to wear. But you look at the price and you go, they're doing it right, and everybody's going to have to start copying them. Catering to that 1%, even if it's 20%.
It's recession proof. It's so I find that the psyche of that really interesting. Because and so I've just been studying that. What makes a brand iconic, and how does quiet luxury work in all of this? Because 20 years ago, LVMH wasn't as popular as it is now. And these brands go out and in and out of vogue. So I've been really sick. I admire Goyard and these luxury brands that have been relevant for decades, right? Because for you to be successful 5-10 years, and at this point, it's not that hard, but for you to be successful for 5 or 10 decades, and how to build a brand and the infrastructure, the mindset, the culture to create a legacy multi-generational brand like that is really interesting to me.
Yeah, it's just the patience. I don't know, the LVMH closed the store for 15 years, right? You got to have some, balls, I guess you could say in French, le balls, to do that, right? Just the patience to kind of stick to that kind of like, okay, we're going to go out there. It's great to hear that because, I mean, I'm super bullish on catering, even if it's a mass product, to making people feel like, I don't know if anybody's done that with humor other than maybe, say, Larry David. It's kind of the LVMH of comedy where it feels sophisticated enough that if you don't get it, then you're just not in. And, so it's cool to see you thinking about it in that way because that's how I think about it.
Yeah, look how relevant Larry David is, how long he's been around.
Yeah, like from failed stand-up comic to hated stand-up comedy to writer to like getting fired from Saturday Night Live, but always relevant for doing something weird and interesting to now people begging. It's all the best actors get just bit parts now to stay relevant in his show, right?
Yeah.
From Vince Vaughn on down, you've got to be part of the elite just to get an appearance in his show, and it was just a ragtag cast of characters to start out.
You watch his old shows, and they're still hilarious. It still connects.
Yeah, and I listened to old interviews with Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, and and Larry was so dark, and I was always like the bebop happy guy, and you could see the tone change when Larry kind of quit Year 8, and the show became more happy. So it's really just fascinating. Go ahead, Ethan, you had a question.
There's actually an old episode of Larry David where he hits a car and he leaves a note.
Oh, he leaves a note?
You gotta leave a note.
Well, if I ever see that Rolls Royce again, I bumped a car that Ethan caught me in, a Rolls Royce. But anyways, Larry David is one of the best. So authenticity and humor. I mean, the humor is going to be the hard part as you get into consumable. Is there anything funny about shampoo, or is it just the ball stuff?
No, that's the quality part.
Okay, that's the quality part. Well, anyways, we can find the product like Walgreens, Target. Is there any retailers that you haven't gone into that you're thinking about or different?
I could say there are no retailers that we want to get into that we're not already talking to.
Got it.
It's just planning.
And I mean, I go to manscaped.com. There's all these packs that people can get. So it's like you figured out a way to like tie all these products together and create these packs. How do people like it? Do they like it like that, getting these big packs?
Yeah, it introduces some to the brand. It's the best value. The easiest way, you go on Amazon, you type in Manscaped, and you see 72,000 5-star reviews on our product.
Oh,
they must be pretty good because it's hard to foster 72,000 5-star reviews.
How do you measure sentiment? Speaking of that, Ethan chimed in here with that to me. Like, so is that what you mean by sentiment, the 5-star reviews?
The 5-star reviews is one of them. We have, I don't know if it's exclusive anymore. It's grown. We have this Facebook group called Ballers, Manscaped Ballers. And so you gotta apply to get into this group. And when we first started, we just want really die-hard customers, because we wanted a base of customers where we can reach out, have them test products and try new products and give us feedback. We were looking for like a couple hundred. Howard, it's fucking grown to over 20,000 members.
Wow.
And, people got to actually apply to get in this group. And once you're in this group on Facebook, and we interact with them all the time, and we get seek feedback from them. It's a great group.
You guys are mainly San Diego, right?
No, after the pandemic, we're fully distributed up in Las Vegas.
I know you are. I thought still a lot of the team was in San Diego.
Yeah, I'd say probably 2/3 of the team is in San Diego, but the team has now been so distributed, and we're all over the country, all over the world during the pandemic. We made a decision to hire just the best talent. They didn't have to be in San Diego.
And then is there anything like a routine that you have? So obviously, to be creative and to think about product all the time. Is there any specific routine you have? Obviously, LVMH, you and I both fascinated by that. Nike, probably. Is there any kind of routine that you keep, or certain people that you read?
Lately I've been, as we scale, I've been trying to think about how to be a better leader. How do you scale because everyone talks about unicorn, and that's valuation. And that's kind of false.
And we all got caught up in it.
Yeah. And for me, I never cared about the unicorn. I cared about getting to $1 billion in revenue.
Right.
And, to get to $1 billion in revenue takes a different kind of leader. And I've been studying on that. I've been reading a great book called The Advantage by Pat Lencioni. And so I do a lot of reading, and it's all about self-growth.
It is about self-growth, because you and I, when we used to sit at the beginning, when we had these discussions, you say, oh man, if this ever gets to be worth a couple $100 million, I'm out, right? Like you would say, I'm out. And I'm like, okay. And then those numbers came up, and I'm like, so what are you going to do? Right? We had these discussions, and you were like, I think we can get bigger. So you can evolve, you can change. Like for me, I'm out at 10 people, right? But what was it that changed your mind?
I grew up, and I'm still an introvert, and introverts, like, I don't like managing a lot of people. It's tiring managing, personalities and then, making sure people are satisfied and happy. And years ago, I took it on as a challenge. I wanted to build a company with an amazing culture that would scale. And I remember at 60, it was still pretty easy to do that. I knew everyone, hugged down. I knew everyone. They were all friends. When you got to about 150 to 200, it's hard to meet everybody. It's hard to know everybody. But how do you make sure that the authenticity and the care, people need to feel like they're wanted, they're appreciated? How do you make sure that your peers and your group of people that you work with feel like they're cared for? And I think once again, it goes back to authenticity. Like, I really do care about all my teammates and every 215 of them.
Well, it's an amazing story. It continues to evolve. We were there, we passed, we did it, we didn't do it. We luckily did it, and you helped us, coached us through that. And then we talked about, what's the number that would get you out. You passed on that. And you, like you said, it's just growth. You can't possibly know, but the hunger still lurks there for you. So I'm excited for you. What a journey. It's only really 7 years. And as you know, like StockTwits is 15 years. We're just getting started. There's all these different phases that you can go through.
Well, Howard, I delivering you 40X within 5 years wasn't enough. We got to go bigger.
Yeah. For us, what we've learned as VCs is like, these things take time, right? Like, when Phil Knight wrote that book, Shoe Dog, I feel it was like a Bible that he handed down. Like, he felt the turmoil amongst the natives at Nike, all fighting and the brand kind of losing its way. And then by telling the story of Nike, even if it was a little bit, it just felt more like the Bible than it did like a brand story. The company just hasn't looked back since then. So, you have to evolve. Like, these things take time. And social leverage is not in a rush. Once you've seen the end zone, and a lot of the people that represent your products have seen the end zone many times. Once you've seen the end zone, it's like, okay, let's really enjoy it the next time we get to the end zone, right? And that's where these dances came in, and these elaborate dances. It's like, we know we're going to get there, and we don't know when, but we've got this bigger goal, and we're going to do it. And there's no rush, right? And I think the last 10 years kind of made it fun, unicorn. And now that that's been taken away, I think now we can go back into the drawing board and appreciate it. And that's where companies like yourself with marketing and focus on product and authenticity are going to matter. Because you can't build an LVMH in 2 years.
No.
Yep.
It really comes down to, I would, if there are other entrepreneurs listening, I'd say, don't focus on, being a unicorn or getting there. Focus on the true economics of your business. Get to profitability. Grow profitability. Look at what your peers are trading at. If you want to be a unicorn, there is an EBITDA multiple that guarantees you to be a unicorn.
There you go.
And focus on that.
Yeah, and the people that help you get there. All right, my man, I'm going to let you go. I know you're busy. This was fun. I'm sure we missed some stuff, but we covered a lot of bases. And all the best, and I'm excited for the new products. And, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Howard. Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Talk soon.
Jensen.
Lindzon.
Ethan.
Howie.
So there you have it, Paul Tran.
Fascinating story.
We never
with
go
him.
too deep into the details. Like this, a 300 million-ish plus sales company with new products coming up to wazoo. Like we said, what do you call them? well, consumer products and the beard trimmer. So there's so much like intricacies to this business, you know, and we never go too deep into that, but you can see how complex it is. And he's grown as a, you know, from the days of, you know, waiting for a shipment to come over from China to fill some orders to, you know, wants to be the LVMH, you know, kind of wants to think about being a high-end brand in this space. Pretty cool involvement.
Right.
And there's been exit opportunities along the way that he created for himself by just having that initial vision. He's had a, you know, he's decided to turn a lot of stuff down because he's evolved into a bigger idea. So very few people can do that. But all the great companies do get offers along the way. Anyways, that was fun. Thanks, guys. This is Panic with Friends. This is Howard and Knut. And you can search Panic with Friends, or are we still live, Knut?
Yes, we are.
You can search Panic with Friends or my name, Howard Lindzon, on the internets. And you can go to Spotify, the App Store, YouTube, and then subscribe to the podcast, and you'll get one every week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks, Knut. And we will see everybody next week.
Howard Lindzon is the founder and general partner at Social Leverage. All opinions expressed by Howard and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Social Leverage or StockTwits. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for decisions. Guests may maintain positions in securities discussed in this podcast.